We're finding out what first-time buyers now need to earn to get onto the property ladder. Now, it's two of you, hopefully. You need to earn an average of £54,400 a year in order to buy your first home. And that's up by about £5,000 since just 3 years ago. And the average deposit you'll need is sitting at a whopping, wait for it, £38,000 and 400. Let's talk about this with Hanna Wheatley, who's a housing expert at the New Economics Foundation. Good morning to you, Hanna.
Good morning, Julia.
This is so depressing. I mean, I'm sorry. A deposit of 38 grand. Who's got that?
It's too much, isn't it? House prices are vastly outpacing wages, and that's what we're seeing in this new report. And it means that, the chance of a young person, for example, owning a home has halved in 20 years. So we've got this kind of massive increase in house prices, which is just hugely exacerbating inequality and pushing people into the private rented sector for longer and more of their lives. And it's a private rented sector that's quite unregulated compared to elsewhere in Europe. So it's really unsafe, insecure and unaffordable. So what we're seeing is kind of property becoming more of a kind of currency. It's more about value than about utility. And it means that it's failing to provide its original purpose, which is shelter for people who need it.
Well, yeah, indeed. But these people aren't living on the streets. It's just about people wanting to own their own home rather than renting them, obviously. But look, we all know what the big issue is. The big issue is we don't build enough homes. We've got a load more people. We haven't got a load more homes. What a surprise. Basic economics 101. Demand's gone up. Supply hasn't gone up. What a surprise. The prices go up. But it's what mortgage companies are demanding. Because we went from that ridiculous situation before the house crisis, or the major economic crash, 2007, 2008, where they were basically giving sort of 120% mortgages. You're allowed to buy your property and have all the money to do the refurb and buy your new kitchen and your sofas as well. And then, of course, when prices went down, people were left with negative equity. And we went from that to requiring that people put down huge deposits, 5-10% to get a mortgage, even though paying the mortgage every month, that was, even if interest rates went up quite considerably, would still be less than the rent they were being able to pay, and had proven that, people could show their rent documents. They'd been paying the rent, never missed a payment for the last 5 years. Isn't a lot of the problem here what the mortgage companies are demanding? Because people may well be able to find the money to pay the mortgage, but they just can't find the money to save up for that deposit.
I mean, the problem is the prices themselves. And actually, to go back to your previous point, supply isn't really the issue. So we've got the government aiming to build 300,000 homes a year to 2020. But there's no real kind of rationale behind that number. And other studies have suggested that we only actually need about 170,000 homes. The real issue is that we don't have enough affordable homes. Yeah. So rather than talking about a housing crisis, I think it's useful to talk about a housing affordability crisis.
Exactly. There's no point building a whole load of new homes that can be bought by Chinese investors who never actually live in them. Whether they rent them out or not, they're still not available for other people to buy. Again, it's the mantra of the show. We could just call it Breakfast with Julia Hartley-Brewer, Build More Homes show, because it seems to be what everyone wants and never seems to happen. But again, 38 grand deposit and a couple having to earn 54 grand a year between them, that both of them, we're looking at, just below average wage, both of them, but they're both having to earn full time to be affording that. And that's just to buy your first home as well. Thank you very much, Hanna Wheatley, housing expert at the New Economics Foundation.